I'm doing fine here on cloud nine. Baby, I'm doing fine up here on cloud nine. Chicka boom, chicka boom. Chicka boom, boom, boom. Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis.
All right.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to the RBN Revolutionary Blackout Network Roundtable. I am one of your hosts, James Fauntleroy. So good to see you. My brothers and my sister, so good to see all of you here.
Oh, yeah.
What's popping? My friends, my family. We got the family here. It's great to see my beautiful brothers and sisters. Savvy Sabs in the house. JB looking sexy as hell as always. Rome, the idol. Rome's the idol of RBN. What's popping? It's just good to be you guys. Mood is high at RBN right now, man. The morale is higher than ever. We told Savvy, they thought we was lying when we told them about the new era. They really thought we were just talking shit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been killing it. Nick and Rome were just in Chicago, protesting against the DNC convention. And we saw Nick's speech with Worker Strike Back with Shama Sawant and Jill Stein. I mean, killing it. Rome was just with Fred Hampton Jr. Check out that clip if you guys haven't seen it. It's on the channel. Yeah. I mean, JB just had another mutual aid event. I just had a mutual aid event. So we've been really killing it.
Yeah. Nico, we just was on this stream. Make sure you got to check that out. Me and Rome. I was talking before the show. We got to bring Nico on one of these RBN roundtables because Nico is an RBN member, step in name only, right? He does great work. Rome, what's popping, brother?
Man, it feels good to be back on the roundtable, man. That's all I really got. We have been going hard this week. It's been, it's been a tough battle, man. But we still here. We still fighting, and you know what I'm saying. When the smoke clear, RBN is still here. So I just love to have all my comrades still here fighting to this day.
Yeah, I want to actually start with a question. I'm gonna lead with my story here, but I'm actually curious because we actually here together talking, chatting, having a great time. I always enjoy these. These are like the best streams of the month now. So before I actually want to make a detour, I want to ask you guys about the DNC convention because we were talking about it with Nico and your general impression. Savvy has been doing the best coverage on YouTube, killing the game. It's great to have that powerful voice out there. When I was in Chicago, my first instinct, I was talking about this on Nico's show, was how they were building a police state to protect the ruling class. And Rome, it was crazy, bro. Everywhere we went, squad car to squad car, especially when you get close to the convention. So that was my takeaway. We have a police state designed to protect the ruling class from their people. 80% of Democrats say they support a ceasefire. No, not ceasefire. Sorry, I misspoke. 80% support stop arming Israel. So 80% of Democrats support an arms embargo, but they refuse to do that. So instead of listening to the people, they create a police state so they don't face protests. So Sabby, I would like to start with you. Let's start with ladies first. Let's start here at the pick stop. A good warm up before we get started. What are you guys' overall impressions of the DNC and the massive crackdowns that we're seeing coming on these pro-Palestine protests? I'll pass to you very broadly, Savvy.
Yeah, it's the typical DNC BS. I think the only difference this time around again is that the candidate, nobody voted for Kamala Harris in the 2024 Democratic primary. She was just selected by people like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries. So that was the difference about it. And of course, I want to let people understand that a lot of the people that you saw at the convention inside cheering, those are delegates. So always keep that in mind. They're doing their job is to cheer for who they want to be the nominee. And then as Chris Cuomo pointed out, there are a lot of like corporate money interest that was also at the DNC convention where some of those seats cost like over $500,000. So don't look at that and assume that that's how the majority of Americans feel, because talking to people on the ground, that's not the feedback that I've been receiving. I just did that poll, actually. I can pull that up when we're done. But I just did that poll asking people, if Kamala loses, what will you think will be the reason? And what was interesting is that the majority of people said that it's because she's not a strong candidate, which I did not expect that to be the most popular answer. But just don't be fooled by the abundance of positive corporate media coverage about Kamala Harris, all these headlines that say she's surging. In fact, the polls aren't showing that now. And so just don't be fooled by the media hype.
Yeah, and that's such a great point. I'll pass to you next, James, regarding the people in attendance. Like, do you guys know how much money these people is worth? There was no working class people there, which is why I don't understand why the fraudulent, uncommitted movement was one to speak in front of these people. They would have got booed off the stage. Do you guys see the clip where there was a banner that said "Ceasefire now, stop arming Israel," and then those people who unfurled their banners was attacked by the genocidal cult and the Democratic Party at that night? It was creepy. In Rome, you can attest to this. My brother was watching our coverage of this, and I was driving Rome and my brother crazy because he don't pay attention to politics. He's just watching the DNC. His reaction as someone who's apolitical is, this is the craziest shit he ever seen in his life. Like, it's everything they project on North Korea, everything they project on our enemies is the United States. James, general thoughts on DNC? We're just doing a little warm-up conversation before we get started. James, anything you want to add? Your initial reactions?
Yeah. So as far as I actually put out a tweet right before we went live, and I just want to share this with y'all.
Yeah, feel free.
Because this is what I shared. This is what I wrote in regards to everything that happened last week because of the hopium that we were given from the DNC. So, Black people, remember Obama? How much better did we do materially?
Who the fuck did that?
Now, think about Kamala Harris. Remember, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Policies matter first. Dems and GOP don't fight for us. This is what we're getting if people elect Kamala Harris. That's what we're getting. And so when people talk about, oh my goodness, well, we're going to have something so much better. Black people, wake up. How much better did you do under Obama? How many of y'all lost homes after the 2008 crisis when Barack Obama actually gave bailouts to the big banks? He could have gave y'all bailouts, right? He could have pushed for reparations for American descendants of slavery. He could have did that. He actually could have, instead of doing Obamacare, which was basically a Heritage Foundation healthcare plan, he could have did single payer healthcare, one and done. He literally had a 60% super majority filibuster-proof Senate and a majority House and the presidency. He could have did a lot. He could, and I don't care if they would have been like, oh my God, he's a dictator. Yeah, because he's doing it for the dictatorship of the proletariat. But he didn't want to do that. This is the same guy that actually put Goldman Sachs inside of his cabinet. Mm-hmm. And now you have Kamala Harris putting BlackRock inside of her cabinet. So what's the difference? And don't get me wrong. People are going to be like, oh, well, you want Trump to win? No, you want Trump to win because Kamala Harris is Trump and drag. That's all she really is. So when people talk about, that's exactly what Kamala Harris is. She's saying all the same things he's saying. It's like, wake up. And so the people who are doing that, man, I got some caffeine in this tea. But, that's the problem. A lot of people are saying, well, she's somewhat better. No, she's not. And we can go over everything that doesn't make her better. But ultimately, we all know what's what. The thing is that the people don't know what's what. And that's why channels like this exist.
Wrong.
I honestly thought it was very, very evil. The speech was very evil. Man, I had nightmares about that damn speech. The most lethal army in the world, and her basically saying like we're going to war with China. It was a very evil speech, and it revealed a lot for me. And one of the things is RBN is right. Like, they have shifted the Overton window to where openly be harsh on the border now. You know, like people don't actually see this, but they are being dragged to the right. She said she's going to be harsh on the more tougher on the border than Donald Trump. She's going to arm Israel. She's going to do all of these horrible, horrible things that the DNC and their people used to be against. Like they used to be the anti-war party, right? So now they are funding Ukraine and Israel and all these other coups around this world. It said, just a couple years ago, they was all just crying at the border, and now they are green word talking points. But it shows a lot how far right the people are actually being pulled, and it was just a very evil speech. And yeah, that shit was evil. I ain't got too many other words. It was just an evil speech. You know, she evil woman.
Yeah, I had a hotspot I released. Another one just dropped on X. They usually come on X first. I'll post on YouTube sometime after the stream. I had a hotspot earlier explaining the insane neocon speech of Kamala, and it was wild seeing the difference between what Kamala actually said in her speech and the media coverage afterwards, because the narrative they are pushing is a narrative of joy. You guys heard that word. They can't even come up with another synonym. Like that's how brainwashed they are. They don't say happy, jubilant. They don't even say a different version of joy. They say the exact same word, joy. So as they pretend this campaign about joy, Kamala was essentially promising never-ending war. She's in her speech, she essentially called Donald Trump a pussy on Iran. You know the guy who killed General Soleimani? The guy who set the precedence of pulling out of the Iran deal that the Biden administration continued? Kamala, in her speech and in the DNC platform, they mentioned that Trump's weakness on Iran enabled this. And I know these are small things, but if you're a foreign policy head, this says everything. When she's saying words like the most lethal, this is exactly why. Because the Democratic Party has now officially emerged and unified as the new Reaganite Republican Party. And that's why it's weird when people are stuck in 2016, right? When they talk about, like, I wouldn't even call it neoliberalism anymore. Like, it's just hardcore neocon right, pro-military, worship of the flag. They were talking about that a lot in the DNC. Oh my God, we reclaim patriotism. It's an outward George Bush Republican Party, and I am not exaggerating. Studies show that under Biden, social spending is down, military spending is up. So we need people to adjust to this reality that we have two hard right-wing parties. The dumbest among us, the true dumb left, are the people who still pretend that there's like a left of center party, that somehow Democrats are left of Republicans. I absolutely don't agree with that. You have a uniparty ran by two parties that are hardcore neocon right. This is the 200 former staffers that was in the Bush, McCain, and Romney era of the Republican Party that joined the Democratic Party with no hesitation, which is going to lead to our next, my main story, which we know Kamala Harris has BlackRock as her economic advisors, who benefits from the genocide in Gaza, who funds and facilitates the genocide in Gaza. BlackRock is a big investor. Who's an investor in the Ukraine conflict? BlackRock. And then Kamala Harris gave a speech talking about how she never wanted to engage with peace with the United States enemies. That's exactly what BlackRock policy is. So in order to prepare for an onslaught of anti-imperialist, anti-war, anti-genocide protests that is about to pop up, we are already seeing the development in SIOP, and I want to give you guys thoughts on here. You see, they already starting this because the Joy campaign was only joyful because we was in summer break. Yeah, I've been in contact with Palestinian groups. These are the people we had on my show. I'm honored to be in community with all these people, and they were just telling me, like, Nick, just wait. They're having fun right now. They're having joy. Kamala, boy, interviews. They're doing their thing. Wait until the goddamn protests come back.
Nick,
now
can I put up
go ahead, James. Feel free, James.
can I put up a card real quick just to separate the segments, just so that we can know what we're talking about?
Feel free.
Sure. And then we can continue on with your segment, because you're cooking already, and I smell the food.
No, good idea, James. Good idea. Go ahead.
All right. So what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about Google versus journalism. That's one of the things we're going to be talking about. We're also going to be talking about Robin DiAngelo, who is the author of White Fragility. She's being some serious accusations against her, which will be covered by Sabby. Then Rome, later in the show, will be talking about Black Lives Matter rejecting Kamala Harris. What's that about? And then now we're going to be talking about the colleges and universities essentially trying to prepare for police state resistance against anti-genocide protesters.
Yep.
Take it away, Nick.
Comment. This is hilarious. The Joy campaign is literally stolen from the German Nazi Party.
Wow.
And then I see this one as well. Strength through joy was also used by the Nazis. I learned something new today. That's interesting. I love learning new stuff. I didn't know that. Please tell me more, fam. I'm gonna be looking in the comments. Tell me more. That's very interesting. And I'm definitely gonna use that against them.
Oh yeah.
As they're carrying out a genocide, because I couldn't find a better way to put it. How disturbing is it that they are running on a campaign of joy as they are sending shipments of bombs every 40 hours? Every a day and a half, they're sending weapons to Israel as they commit genocide. And you run on a message of joy? I was trying to formulate the best way to attack them on this, but man, I gotta look into that more. That's glorious. That's a glorious. Strength through joy was also used by Nazis. I'll pass to the panel because I already did my little mini monologue. I have a few more things to share, but just so I'm not ranting for too much, this is my reaction to this headline because you guys see what they're preparing for. They're preparing to get people ready to accept the crackdown on free speech. Look, Jews are unsafe. Hey guys, Jews are unsafe. And when you look at the number, this is the article that all the corporate media is running. A whopping 44% of college students and recent graduates say they rarely or never feel safe identifying as Jewish. So you want to know what I think when I hear this? My first thought is 56% of Jewish Americans are not buying the bullshit. That's my first reaction. My second reaction is that really means 44% of Jewish students are afraid to admit they support genocide openly. So before I continue, because there's a lot to cover, I'm going to pass it to the panel, going once, going twice. Anyone have any general thoughts that you guys want to chime in before I continue my segment? Sabby, Rome, JB, any thoughts?
I just want to show everybody what you were saying about the military spending, because this is always a good chart that I go to from time to time just to show people how ridiculous the spending is today. And so this is the defense budget over the years, starting with 1960. I don't know why it just starts with that year, but starting with 1960. So you can see the years at the bottom. If you guys notice, like even when we were at war, so even under Bush, right? So you can see 2003, it was around 440 billion. And then as you go along, like going up the years, you can see it's increasing. 2007 over 500, increasing 2008, which will be Obama, over 650 billion. And that continues to go all the way up to 752 billion. That's 2011. That's still under Obama's presidency. And then it starts to decrease a little bit towards the end of Obama's presidency. And then towards that second term of Obama's presidency, it goes back down to like the 600 billion. And then Trump wins in 2016, is still on the 600 billions. And then it goes up more under Donald Trump. 2018, it's now over 682 billion. 2019, over 734 billion. And then we get to 2020, 778 billion. And then once Biden's in office, it's over 800 billion. And now it sits at over $876 billion. So to Nick's point, both parties are invested in the war machine. Now, before that, if you go back to 1999, 2000, So that is Clinton. Yeah, Bill Clinton's presidency still 320 billion. So how do we go from 320 billion to over 800 billion dollars? And even if you go back to 1980, we had 143 billion. So how did we go from there to all the way up to here? You see what I mean?
Yeah, you know why, Sabi?
Both do it.
You know why, Sabi? We are witnessing, and this is why I'm so radicalized against our system, the most complex and out in the open money laundering scheme in human history. The biggest money laundering scheme, the biggest act of corruption and white collar crime we ever seen in human history. Because you don't know who benefits. Where do you guys think this numbers goes? Do you think it's just flow in the air? Just all in weapons? No. Palantir, you know, the AI company that provides targeting for the Palestinians and the genocide, they get military contracts and they directly benefit from gross military spending. Who else got contracts with the military industrial complex? Elon Musk. Wow. They directly benefit from the increased military spending. BlackRock, Boeing. It's a money laundering cycle that will never end. Like Julian Assange said, it's not successful war, it's never ending profitable war. I keep asking all the Bernie Sanders supporters or the NATO left, hey, how's the Ukraine war going? You know how Nina Turner supported the Ukraine war? She said it all the time on her channel. Bernie, Matt Duss, they said, oh, we got to support Ukraine. To show how is it going? 500,000 Ukrainians dead. Ukraine destroyed, BlackRock ready to clean up. Once again, it wasn't ever about being successful. It was about laundering money to the capitalist system, the capitalists and their structure, which is why capitalism is the height of imperialism. But I can run on this all day. It's not
I remember AOC even pointing out the money laundering going on in the military when she was saying this boat and this crew cost like $12,000 or some shit like that. So yeah, there's a lot of shit that's going on. It's all money laundering.
I was going to say, Nick, add colleges and universities to that too, because they also have those contracts.
Yep. Well said. Well said. I'm going to continue my story. I just want to make a quick little breaks like that so you guys can chime in. Almost done. Not a long story. I know we got a lot to cover today. I'm showing you guys the upcoming side because I'm trying to get ahead of it before it starts. There's a few. I've seen these stories pop out aggressively once again because I'm a psyop watcher. I pay attention to the corporate media, so I see where the establishment is going. They took a break with the anti-Semitism story for a while. Now that because it was summer break, now that school about to come back, now that campaign season about to hit, and liberals are worried about Kamala being protested. Now all of a sudden these anti-Semitism surges, articles are popping up, and I'm even seeing these articles, and I'm reading these articles. This is one of many, guys. And when I'm reading these articles, I am shocked they're saying this out loud. I'm going to summarize, because I was thinking about doing a hotspot, but we decided to do another story instead. But what I found, because when I do a hotspot, I read maybe 12, 15 articles in prep for that. These articles are explaining how campuses are teaming up with their local police in order to create some sort of chain of command in order to rob the free speech of young people. And we already seen it. I don't have the receipt on hand, but I can find it. You already seen police beating the shit out of protesters. And that's the plan. The college encampments caught them off guard at first. They didn't know that people would care that much. Now they had time to take a break. Now they coming together. They taking their increased police funding, and they are merging our education system with a police state in order to shut down the will of the people. This is the same thing
school to prison pipeline
that the West accused Russia of doing to their people when they started the special military operation. Even though polls show consistently that around 80 to 85% of Russians support the military operation, they kept telling lies to how the Russian government is cracking down on anti-war protests. That's exactly what the West is doing to anti-genocide protesters. So what's the long-term calculation from the capitalist class? Because they're not only just losing the young people. Because imagine you're a parent.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all mom and dad, but my mom is a ride or die. My mom don't know a goddamn thing about politics. She saw I work for the Bernie campaign, and she was the most diehard Bernie supporter there was. Then I stopped fucking with Bernie. Now she don't fuck with Bernie no more. That's kind of how my mom is. So you're going to see these kids get their ass beat by the police state on behalf of the Democratic Party. Because you want to know who led the initiatives to tie anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism? Doug Emhoff. Doug Emhoff is directly responsible for it. Who's Doug Emhoff? The second gentleman. Kamala Harris's AIPAC handler boyfriend. Oh no. See, this is the actual coverage that I provide. I do the research and I expose these people, and Doug Emhoff is directly responsible for this. But if you mention this, Ben Burgess is going to call you an anti-Semite. The progressive except Palestine fake progressives, they will call you anti-Semite if you bring up the fact that Doug Emhoff, Kamala Harris's AIPAC handler boyfriend, is responsible for the anti-Zionism psyop that's conflating anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. He was the chief head of that. Meanwhile, the big brains, Ben Burgess, the big brains, they're like, I don't know why Nick could possibly say that about him. Is it because he's Jewish? That's what the dumb people say. Oh, it must be because he's Jewish. No, it's because he advocated for the censorship of Americans. This is directly coming from the Biden administration. So we will see what happens. But what will be the effect when the parents see their children being beat by the cops? Will they support the party that's responsible for this? It's our job to inform them what's going on. One last headline, and we got a lot of cover, so I'm gonna try to keep my segment somewhat short. Here's the last headline I'll read before I pass it to the panel again. You can find endless amount of these articles. I think I showed this one already. It's endless. I only picked 4, but bro, they cranking them out. And every corporate media website has at least one that they print every single day. It was very easy to prepare this segment. I think this is the other one I didn't show. Here it is. Cesspools of rancid anti-Semitism. University presidents urge to protect Jewish students on campus. What are they implying? They are getting people ready for a fascist crackdown, the likes that we never seen before. Be careful out there, my friends. I'll pass the panel one more time. We got a lot of cover. So any last thoughts on this side that's going on? I'm gonna show some. I had a Palestinian group that's planning on forming an encampment, and I actually don't want to say out loud, in one of the Missouri universities. I'm gonna be there, showing on the ground support, because bro, the campus class is about to go to war with an entire generation, and I'm predicting right now we're about to see some crazy ass shit over the next 2 months. And I really hope the populists respond in kind with the revolutionary spirit that's necessary, because we're gonna see some. You guys think the last crackdown was bad? Oh man, just wait. You got Israel going to the West Bank, international pressure at an all-time high against Zionism. You think they're gonna let this shit go without mass murder attempts? Anyway, Donnie, I'll see you.
I want to show something else too, because in relation to Nick's story about Kamala not listening to what a lot of Democrat voters want her to do on Israel. I saw this comment here from Ashley. Ashley said the Democrats are panicking because Kamala Harris' lead keeps getting bigger every single day. She is winning all the Sun Belt states in yesterday's newest Fox News polling. So I want to pull that up because I want people to see the 2 different dates. I want to show you the Fox News one and then what Nate Silver just released today. So that Fox News poll was conducted August 23rd through August 26th. So we always got to look at the dates, right? And that's where they were saying like, oh, she's up like a percentage point in Arizona, like those Sunbelt states. However, Nate Silver just posted more recent information about the polls. And this is what I said before about the comparison with Hillary Clinton's campaign that I think people need to pay attention to. And that's this. So Nate Silver just dropped this today. And he said, let me make this a little bit larger. That's why I said you got to check the polls you got to check them every day. Harris is ahead by 3.8 points in our national poll tracker up from 2.3 points the day before the Democratic convention began, which does suggest some sort of convention bounce, which is expected, like right after the convention, just like same thing would happen for the Republicans as well. However, this is the warning sign that Nate Silver is giving people now. He said, however, she has fallen to a 47.3% chance of winning the Electoral College versus 52.4% for Donald Trump. So the prediction that Nate Silver made before the DNC convention was, he was basically saying that if Kamala Harris doesn't get that plus 14% or plus 14 points a bump from the DNC the same way that Barack Obama did, he said that she could lose the Electoral College. So this is why it's important to check the poll. The polls change, and some of the ones that I've seen that people are sharing are from like last week, whereas there's more recent updated polls since the DNC convention. So Nate Silver is saying, of course, anything could change, but he said that the thing that really helped Barack Obama was he got that plus 14%, plus 14 point bump after the DNC convention. And he said she would need to perform the same in order to be a sure thing to win the Electoral College. So similar to Hillary, she could win the popular vote and still lose the Electoral College. He also goes on to say in that article that she is struggling now in Pennsylvania. So we got to check the polls every day.
Yeah, it's
people are underestimating, like, people are underestimating this shit, man, because these people are not going to vote for Kamala. A lot of people feel like they are forcing Kamala on us. See the difference? Sit down. The difference between Barack, he was elected. He was elected to run for president. So a lot of these people thinking like, oh, well, they ain't got no choice. They ain't got no choice. They're gonna vote for her. I'm telling you, talk to just somebody random, and they're gonna tell you they're not voting for Kamala, not because of she's black or whatever the fuck. They just feel like she's put in place. Like they had nothing to do with this. At least give these people the illusion of choice. But you didn't even give them the illusion of choice, and other people is gonna push back on this. I guarantee there's gonna be the lowest turnout for black people in history. In American history, is gonna be the lowest turnout for black people. Mark my words.
Remember, Barack Obama got over 90, if I remember correctly, got over 98% of the black vote in 2008, and I believe 93 or 94% in 2012 of the black vote, and nobody has been able to perform to that level since Barack Obama. And we all know how Barack Obama turned out to be. So there's that. But one thing that was also updated is that Kamala Harris in Georgia, she is reaching out to the rural communities in Georgia, and particularly lower income black communities in Georgia. Sure, Michael announced that earlier today on Twitter, and he said, guys, I'm trying to tell you, don't sleep on Georgia, because he said that she is going out to the rural parts of Georgia, not just the typical blue Democrat areas.
Yeah, one thing that's clear about this election, I'll pass to you, James. I think you want to chime in, is that this is definitely a race to the bottom. We're seeing depressed turnout, which is only good for us. This is our time to radicalize people when they see these two horrific choices. I personally have no idea who's going to win. Electoral politics is extremely unpredictable. And like I said, it's a race to the bottom. At this point, it's all about who's going to piss people off the least. Because I know one thing for sure. I see people, and I say it's unpredictable because I have no idea where it's going to go. I'm just going to be happy no matter who loses. Because you have MAGA and you have Donald Trump that trying to help Kamala win the best they can. I don't know if you guys seen Trump. He is not the same guy he was in 2016. He is running like a Reagan Republican. He is sucking. Well, let me be clear. We're on YouTube. He is completely selling out his constituency to Zionism to make it PG. Well, I'm about to say. And I see a lot of like the grassroots people turn off of Trump because of this. We saying like, oh, he pushing for cracking down on free speech. I'm listening to Trump like he's not anywhere near, like he'll make all these fake populist promises. I'm not seeing any of that, bro. So Trump has fallen off. We can't underestimate the ability for the Republicans to choke this away either. So what it is right now is a great opportunity for us because we got clown shows on both sides. And now we can point to people who are rational, who are sane, who actually want change. Like, hey, man, let's come home. Let's actually create a third-party movement. I've never seen a situation where people are more open to it than now. But I show JB, anything you want to add? And then we can get to our next segment. I like showing the shit with you guys.
Yeah, just to solidify your point, especially about universities cracking down. Mr. Anti-Free Speech himself, Ron DeSantis, here in Florida, has also been pushing to make sure that everything is as pro-settler colonial state as possible. This actually, I reported on this a couple of weeks ago here in my state. So this is out of the Miami Herald. It says Florida universities ordered to review all courses for anti-Semitic and anti-Israel material. And basically, this article basically stipulates that anything, even if it's a question on an exam that is considered to be wrong, right? It could be like 1 + 1 = 5. That's a wrong answer, right? On a multiple choice question. One of the multiple choice questions said that Israel is responsible for terrorism. And that's supposedly a wrong answer to a question. Well, they saw that a lot of the pro-Zionist crowd saw that and they said, oh my God, that answer on a multiple choice question is anti-Semitic, right? And so now they're pushing to make the colleges in Florida as pro-Israel as possible so that you cannot question whatsoever or even have remotely, even if it's a wrong answer in there. And the crazy part is you don't hear them saying this about, like, for instance, China. You don't hear them say, oh, well, the source of all terrorism is Iran. Because if that was actually a multiple choice question, even if it was a wrong answer and a multiple choice question, they wouldn't have a problem with it, right? So the thing is like what Nick was saying about how really they're pushing to quell this dissent against settler colonialism in the police force is extremely true. And one of the things I think that, needs to happen is, there's going to be a larger influx, because the more you suppress, I kind of think about it like a spring. The more you push down on the spring, once that spring lets loose, it jumps. And so this is what's going to happen, is that they're going to suppress the students so hard to the point where even their mamas, their daddies, their cousins, their sisters, their brothers, everybody's going to come out, because y'all did it with the Black community. That's what happened with George Floyd, right? Remember 2020? Okay, so guess what? It's going to happen again, but it's going to happen on behalf of the Palestinians, because they're going to suppress so hard that it's not going to have a pressure release, and people are going to come out. Everybody and their mama is going to come out. And once that happens, you're going to see the Democratic Party and Republican Party for their true colors of who they are, because they're going to be cheering on the police to bash your head in just for speaking your mind, just for exercising your First Amendment right. So this is one of the reasons why I reflect, I applaud what Nick said about being post-duopoly, walking away from both parties, and also the organizing aspect of it. The problem is that a lot of us are so focused on voting that we forget the organizing. And the thing is, what made our revolutionary leaders in the past so powerful is the fact that they put organizing above everything else. That's why they were dangerous. That's why the Black Panthers were dangerous. That's why people like Huey P. Newton and Angela Davis and Assata Shakur and all of them were so dangerous because they organized, and the state didn't like that. But the thing is, that's what we're gonna have to do. And so, yeah, I mean, the ruling class, they're organized. Why aren't we?
Yeah, well said. I think we need and we can start the next stop here soon. But I think a goal for the working class is to craft a new Bill of Rights. These Bill of Rights are faulty. They say you have, and people need to understand the ruling class has been picking at these as they go, because as far as I know, we have the right to protest. And then they said, oh, well, you can protest only in designated zones. The fuck? They're like, oh, no, you can't protest in front of the White House. The fuck? Who said that? You said that, not us. Then they said, oh, you can't protest outside of our homes. All three of these are valid targets as far as I'm concerned. Who made these rules? And people never think about it. This stuff that always bothered me when they say, "Oh, you need a permit, you can't protest." Who made these rules? The ruling class. We didn't agree to this. Yeah. But that's something they did. They've been chipping at these rights over decades. People don't even think about it. You know what I mean? And we need and that should be one of our demands. You know what I mean? Once we have our outside government, we had our own workers' revolution. That's one of the demands. We need completely redefine the relationship between the government and the people, because I think the government has, for a long time, been too far. They've been scaling back workers' rights, scaling back our right to freedom of speech, right? All this shit has gone too far. But panel, JB, you the host. I'll pass to you. I don't want to talk too much longer. Go ahead, JB.
All right. So as far as is it okay if I go through a couple of super chats before we go on to the next segment?
Yeah, do what you gotta do, brother.
Okay, so I just want to do these super chats really quick. We'll get to the rest of the chats a little bit later due to the sake of time. But first one I want to get to is from Andrea Rosario Gabari. Says, it is really Hillary Clinton ruling by proxy. So evil. Damn right.
Kamala Harris was vetted in the Hamptons in 2017 by Hillary Clinton people. Now, Hillary Clinton people are the same people who are working on Kamala's campaign, and she's the one who benefited from correct the record internet bots that later transitioned to K-Hive. So isn't it obvious who selects our ruler from the beginning? Not you. You think you do. Go ahead, JB.
All right. So the next one we have is from John Fries. Thank you so much. Says, the exposure of Zionism by the student protests is like the old man behind the curtain getting exposed in The Wizard of Oz. Western imperialism outed. Yep. Absolutely. And I think that's all for the super chats for this segment. If you are ready, we're ready for the next segment.
The Sabby next?
Yep. Absolutely. So we're going to be going on to the next segment. I really want to get to this one. This one's going to be juicy. Sabs, I cannot wait for your commentary on this one. So we're going to be talking about Robert DiAngelo, the author of White Fragility, accused of plagiarism. Sabs,
yeah.
What's going on?
This one is a big deal, you guys. This is a big one. So author Robin DiAngelo, you've probably heard of her before. If you didn't hear of her, you probably heard of the book White Fragility. It was published in 2018, but it actually didn't gain popularity until after the George Floyd protests. So that's when the book really became popular. And it made some people believe that, oh, she wrote this book after George Floyd to get money off of that. But the book was published in 2018. So long story short, the book is basically about Robin DiAngelo basically blames white people and tells white people, listen, the reason why things are bad for, Black people and other minorities is because of you. Right. So she tries to teach them in the book to change their way of thinking and their behavior to make things better. Well, now it's hilarious because the same person who was talking about white fragility and blaming white people for all this stuff, right? Now she's in the hot seat. White Fragility author Robin DiAngelo is accused of plagiarizing minority scholar and PhD thesis. So I'm gonna get into this a little bit because for years, like, she acted like this was her idea. This wasn't her idea. Hold on, let me make this bigger. But she made a lot of money off of it. So it says, Robin DiAngelo, the author and anti-racism consultant who rose to fame and made a fortune scolding white people for their inherent bigotry, has been accused of ripping off the work of two Asian American scholars in her 2004 doctoral thesis. The complaint was filed with the University of Washington and obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. It outlines 20 examples, not one, 20 examples of alleged plagiarism in the White Fragility author's dissertation, Whiteness in Racial Dialogue, a Discourse Analysis. So this is Robin DiAngelo. She's been on a number of shows. like I said, she really took off after the George Floyd protest. She came to my school. She went on like this book tour After George Floyd, she came to BU. I was working there at that time, and she had an event, a talk there that you had to pay to attend. So that's how this worked. That's how she made a lot of money, were these public appearances. And it goes on to say, among the examples cited are 2 paragraphs reproduced almost entirely from Northeastern University's Thomas Nakama, who is Asian American, and co-author Robert Krizik, in which D'Angelo fails to provide adequate attribution. Another example in the complaint shows D'Angelo allegedly playing fast and loose with a paragraph written by Asian American professor Stacy Lee of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. In it, rather than clearly delineating that Lee had summarized the work of scholar David Theo Goldberg, the information was presented in such a way that appear as though D'Angelo herself was providing the summary herself. And let me go on down to this part here. National Association of Scholars President Peter Wood, he said this is forgery. It is never appropriate to use the secondary source without acknowledging it, and even worse, to present it as one's own words. Now, he was, again, former BU provost. He said that's plagiarism. On her website, accountability statement, D'Angelo goes into great detail about how she claims to hold herself accountable in a variety of different contexts when it comes to her business and personal dealings with non-whites. This is what it says. Always cite and give credit to the work of BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, and people of color, people who have informed your thinking. She writes in a section explicitly about how to properly provide academic citation. And this is the book. This is the book. This is the book that really put her on the map. Again, like I said, like published 2018, but she started making more money off of it after the death of George Floyd. White Fragility, Why Is It So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism, by Robin DiAngelo. And look who the forward is by.
Michael Lord. Nick is your boy.
Michael Eric Dyson. I told you.
I told you motherfuckers about that guy.
It says her controversial book sold more than 750,000 copies and helped her rake in even more money, hosting anti-racist seminars costing as much as $40,000 a head. Damn. Made a lot of money. And it says, when you use a phrase or idea you got from a BIPOC person, credit them. As the Beacon points out, D'Angelo's status as a doctor and her PhD in multicultural education have been key to promoting her book, her high dollar speaking engagements, and her therapeutic seminars, where attendees paid up to $40,000 a head to hear all about how racist they are. She often formally referred to either as Dr. Robin DiAngelo or Robin DiAngelo PhD in marketing materials, including the header of her own website, where she claims to have coined the term white fragility in a 2011 academic article. So she took credit for creating that term, according to her. The allegations against D'Angelo follow a rash of recent similar accusations raised in the highest levels of American academia. So, and they bring up the issue that happened with Claudine Gay, and also the former president of Columbia University. But this woman here, long story short, is a fraud. Wow. And she made all that money. So I'm pretty sure there's a lawsuit sitting out there somewhere where she would need to at least pay them some of the royalties that she received from this book. Like, this is really bad because a lot of people interviewed this woman and a lot of colleges brought her on campus and she charged for these events and she made a lot of money. Her and also Dr. Kendi Ibram, who also he teaches at BU. They made a lot of money off of the anti-racist movement. And again, like I said before, You got to give credit where credit is due. And this woman all this time has pretended like this was all her idea. And she came up with this term and all of this stuff. And now you find out that she basically ripped off 2 Asian American students.
Yep. This is why I told you guys that elite academia is a joke. We got to develop militant working class intellectuals. And that's what we try to be here at RBN, working class intellectual. I revoked doctorate degrees. like I look at these people in elite academia and they're jokes. But I think JB and Ron want to chime in because I have something I want to share as well. But JB, you want to chime in?
This is intellectual colonialism.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. And with what Robin DiAngelo has done, really just speaks to a lot of what you have some people do. Like, for instance, Tim Wise is somebody that's praised for talking about white supremacy, and yet Tim Wise will also encourage people to vote for the guy that actually instituted the 94 crime bill, that wrote the 94 crime bill, right? Or you have somebody like and I know a lot of people like her, but she, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on her name now. She did the eye color experiment. I'm forgetting her name. Jane Elliott. Yeah, Jane Elliott. Everybody talks about how they love her and her anti-racist lectures, but Jane Elliott also came out, somewhat kind of against reparations for American descendants of slaves. So the thing is, it's like, you have to be wary of some white people that make their money or their fame off of teaching anti-racism, because even some on TikTok will get big and get huge off of it. And then next thing you know, you find out some shady things about them. So the thing is, like, ultimately, if you want to learn about anti-racism, talk to people who are the victims. Because here's the thing. It's like there was this woman who said there was this podcast called Man Enough. And the guy asked this white woman, how in the world, what gives you the right to tell men about themselves when you're not a man? And she goes, well, as a black man, what gives you the right to tell white people about themselves? Because you're the victim and you know more about your perpetrator more than they know about themselves. And the same thing goes for, people like us. We know more about the perpetrator than the perpetrator knows about themselves. So it's incumbent upon us, that if we want to really listen to the voices of people who are oppressed, is to listen to the voices of the people who are oppressed. The problem is some of y'all don't want to hear it until it's from people that look like you.
They call the history.
They're the ones that end up actually also doing the same thing, victimizing us. So it's like, come on, people got to work through that. So with Robin DiAngelo, is actually very sad. And I honestly do think that she owes a lot to the people who she plagiarized off of, allegedly.
I believe she should be sued into homelessness. I don't advocate for homelessness, but I think this woman should be sued into homelessness. I think she should be sued for every penny that she took when she was doing her seminars. That should go to the people, all of it, everything. Give her house up. Like, this is something that is just unacceptable. Especially, like, you think you're gonna get away with this? I see if it was like 1970, 1960, when it was a little harder to catch on to these things. But you think you're gonna get away with this shit in 2020, 2018, and 2020? You crazy. This is just another Elizabeth Warren. Remember that book that she wrote, that cookbook that she wrote, and she just plagiarized the whole fucking thing? Yeah, this another fucking Elizabeth Warren, another snake in the grass amongst black people, and they're just stealing our ideas and phrases and taking it as their own, and then presenting it to their people like, hey, look what I learned. Like, no, the fuck you didn't. No, the fuck you. How the fuck you come up? Okay, so who was you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Who was you talking to learn these things? You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't around no white people unlearning racism. You know what I'm saying? Like, give the people, like you said, give the people credit, which you didn't do. So yes, I believe that she should be sued into homelessness, and this shit should follow her and her kids for the rest of their lives. Yes, I believe you should pay for the sins of your father, and that is a big sin, a big sin that could have got those people of color that actually should have been credited out of poverty. You know what I'm saying? They could have paid their mortgage or maybe even bought a house for once. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I never read White Fragility. I don't know that much about white fragility, but from what I've seen, and she stole it from 2 Asian American students as well. And feel free to disagree with me, guys. It sounds like liberal bullshit to me. I showed this study, and you guys see, it doesn't surprise that she plagiarized. She's a white woman, right? Light-skinned woman, right? I showed the study, and I was trying to find it desperately, but I found a few headlines that I can show. I think this is it. I wish I can find the exact study. There was a study that showed how white Americans, especially white liberal Americans, their solution to racism is stupid, virtue-sittingly bullshit, like trying to make white people feel guilty. Like, so as long as you white and you feel guilty and you virtue signal about what you want to change in racial relations, that's fine with white people. They say that's all they want is the acknowledgement of racism. But polls show black people, we don't give a fuck about none of those liberal virtue signaling nonsense. What we want, and I covered this maybe 2 years ago on the show. It was a long time ago. This is the material analysis of the racial struggle in America, which is the exact opposite from elite academia, which is why I don't respect them. I revoked their doctorate, and I don't even think they're a legitimate form of intellectual. I think they are here to uphold establishment and capitalist orthodoxies, right? So that's why they spread this bullshit like white fragility. What do you mean white fragility? The same liberals that you claim are not white fragile are the people who vote for the Democratic Party that are building cop cities all over the place. So what is the point I'm making? Black Americans impose their vision of opposing racial discrimination is systemic change. It's structural change. And many Black Americans, I'm showing you in this headline, they want to target key U.S. institutions, which is the difference from liberal academia. Liberal academia, they don't want to target institutions. They want white people to feel bad and guilty. If they write books about white fragility. You guys, am I making my point good? Hopefully I'm making my point. Well, here's a few more other headlines that back my point up. I was trying to find the exact study. I don't think that important. Black Americans are pessimistic about their position in U.S. society. There's another one that shows how most Black people feel like the institutions are rigged against them. Meanwhile, liberals love institutions. They love the CIA. They love law enforcement. So I sum up my long-winded point. Liberals, they substitute real racial solutions to racial struggle with virtual signaling bullshit. And that is what white fragility seems like to me. And that's why it was extremely popular. That's why she got all those speaking positions. While people who advocate for class material change and attacking the institutions, we're not getting those speaking invites. This is my thing I want to add to the story, but I'll pass I'll shut up. Anything else you guys want to add?
And I agree with what you're saying there too, Nick, because like my thing is, if you want to fix that problem, why isn't she advocate, or why wasn't she? I don't think she were doing this anymore, but why wasn't she advocating for, fixing and changing those institutions? Why wasn't she advocating against like cop cities? Why wasn't she advocating against? So that's my kind of thing about it. Cause she wrote another book. It's not just that one. She wrote a follow-up book called How White Progressives Perpetuate Racism. So again, I feel like it's things that
wrote a book about herself.
So it's things that's like, okay, we know this, but the solution is not just to tell people what they already know. Absolutely. The solution is to target those institutions and demand change. Now, people like Robin don't want to do that, because people like Robin, she still kind of want the police around to protect her and her wealth.
Oh no.
Like this is a big part. It's not just policing, education, healthcare system, right? Why aren't all these people who are writing these books about the issues that Black people are struggling with in this country, why aren't they out there on the front lines advocating for healthcare? Why aren't they out there on the front? Why aren't they advocating for reparations?
So Savvy,
why are they doing that?
So I will try to avoid attacking her because I don't know that much about her. That's why I made my point overall about liberalism, right? But I'm asking you guys. So she don't write about any of that stuff, right? Did she propose any solutions? Like, is she an advocate for free healthcare? Like, I'm asking. Go ahead.
The solution she proposed was that white people have to, basically her going on those tours was to teach white people how to be anti-racist. I'm like, okay, great. But how does that change the systemic issues? It doesn't. How does that change what happens in the criminal justice system? It doesn't. That's the problem.
It's no different from the liberals who was pushing Black Lives Matter. But when we said abolish the police, defund the police, they came with all kind of excuses. Yep. Oh, well, that's a bad slogan and blah blah. Listen, that no. You just want to feel protected because the truth be told, you scared of niggas. You scared of niggas, bro, and you fear that we're gonna do what you have done to us. And the police is like y'all bodyguards. You know what I'm saying? The bodyguards in between the black and the whites. What you feel. Because when we say, hey, this system is racist, shit need to be burnt down, you know what I'm saying? We need to restart. Oh, well, maybe we can just reform. It's always some reform. It's always some type of reform with these people. But yeah.
And I'll show people this too who haven't seen the definition just to explain what it actually means. So white fragility means discomfort and defensiveness on part of a white person when confronted by information about racial inequality and injustice. Okay. But what does that solve? Like, that's not a solution. Again, it's just, so sometimes what you find a lot of times with academics is that they're really good at coming up with theories and telling you what the problem is. But when it comes to creating an actual solution, they don't want to attack the institutions that exist that cause a lot of that inequality because they benefit from it.
Yeah. And the thing is like it's equating feeling with action, right? It is, oh my goodness, I want you to feel guilty so that you'll potentially somehow change it on an individualistic level. When in reality, what needs to happen is the change needs to happen on a systemic level. And it's like, if you feel guilty, all right, sit with that. But what are you doing in order to change the system so that you no longer feel guilty? What are you doing for the people who are damaged by the carceral system? Like, for instance, on Tuesday, I talked about how in 2018, we actually gave former felons back the right to vote, but then Republicans chose to put a paywall between you being able to vote if you are a former felon. A huge chunk of that is Black people, right? The thing is like, if you are truly somebody who is fighting about anti-racism, what are you being anti-racist on a systemic level? What are you doing to help us get the tangibles that actually help us lift us out of this water? Because everybody talks about, a rising tide lifts all boats. But what happens when that boat is at the bottom of the ocean?
Yep.
Then that means that you will have to get a crane to pull that boat up to the surface so that it can be on the level with everybody else. The thing is, you need special circumstances in order to bring that boat at the bottom of the ocean just to the level of everybody else. That means things like defunding the police on the road to abolition, which, Nick, I know you talk about all the time, which I appreciate. This means reparations for American descendants of slaves, because guess what? Somebody talked about how Jane Elliott also talked about reparations for Black people and for Indigenous people. And it's like, number one, Indigenous people already got a chunk of what they need, even though they said it's not enough. But that's a conversation for them. For us, is for reparations for descendants of slaves. And then people who are, Black, who are not American descendants of slaves, can also have that discussion with them with CARICOM. But anyways, and then on top of that, the, ending the carceral system, redlining, which still exists to this day. A lot of these things exist. And the thing is, it has to be done on a systemic level. The Democratic Party and Republican Party are not interested in doing that because they want to keep us divided. They want to keep some poor people higher than above the rest of the poor people so that they can have resentment between us. They want to have white people resent us for seeming like we get something better off of just things like affirmative action.
Are you telling me
that they want us who are black and brown to have resentment against each other because you have some people who are lower rungs because they don't have citizenship. And so ultimately, it's just about their fee-fees instead of actually going after the material conditions that actually would raise us to the level of of just white people.
Are you telling me that electing Kamala Harris is not going to solve the racial issue, JB? I think you're just the one of those toxic, racist black men I've been hearing about on MSNBC. Because apparently you think that. Because the last point I want to make on here, because the people who think that actually solving racism are the people like Michael Eric Dyson. Since you brought him up, do you guys remember Michael Eric Dyson? We don't have to play this video. I'm sure you guys seen it. Do you guys remember the absolute meltdown this motherfucker had? Because this Republican lady, Nancy Mace, I think she is called Kamala Harris the wrong name. And throughout this interview, he said, "You calling Kamala out her name, you insulting the first ever black woman president." That's the solution, according to the academia class. Michael Eric Dyson believed the number one foundation of racial struggle is defending the honor of Kamala Harris's name. Once again, we don't have to pull the video, but you guys see the difference in priorities. Only want to bring him up because I didn't know he had anything to do with white fragility, but that explains everything.
So people got to see too that like black people, even still today, we're at the very bottom when you talk about wealth. When we talk about wealth in this country, black wealth, we are at the very bottom. The Latino community is ahead of us. We're at the very bottom. So my push to people like Robin DiAngelo is, Robin, why don't you push for those types of solutions, ways to close the racial wealth gap instead of getting a bunch of white people in a room and telling all of them that they're racist?
You know, if we spent $600 billion to Ukraine, that would do it. That's what Cory Bush did. Cory Bush sent $600 billion to Ukraine, wondering why the hood didn't come out for it. But go ahead, Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
And $40,000 a pop. $40,000 a fucking head. Dog, you know what you could have fucking built in black communities? Like you didn't even have to maintain the shit. You could have built some co-op movements, you know what I'm saying, working class movements in the black communities that you was speaking for. But what you do with that money? I'm pretty sure she bought boats and houses and brand new cars and clothes. Like, come on now, these people ain't serious. But just like Jane Elliott, yeah, all these people have to be against reparations, because if black people get better, they have no job. They have no job. Like, if black people actually get better and we get reparations, we start buying houses, we ain't fucking listen to no old white woman. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they need black people down in order to make money off of us, step on our back and make money off of our plight and off of our troubles.
I think we can get to the next segment now. I think we
all right.
This is fun as always. RBN Roundtables are always the best. Go ahead, JB.
Man, I'm still hyped to be with y'all. So let's go to the super chats really quick. And then we'll move on to the next one. Let me see. Mark Pugsley says $10 for seeing all of you at once. Thank you so very much for that. Mark Pugsley said all at once.
Oh yeah, by the way, since we're doing that little intermission, me and JB tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, me and James will be interviewing Dr. Jill Stein and her vice presidential pick, Dr. Butch Wells. So we have a banger roundtable today. We got another banger tomorrow. I'm very interested in having Dr. Jill Stein on as well. Definitely should be a good conversation and get some more feedback. But go ahead, JB. Looking forward to hosting that with you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be tired as hell, but I'm gonna be there. Thank you so much. Paul Lozano says, "Power to the people, respect and love from Mexico City. Bienvenido."
Our crowd is international, my friends.
Okay,
yeah,
all right. Okay, good to see you. All right, so we are ready to go into Sharon. Is going to be, hang on, Sharon is going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern. Just to let you know. Okay. All right. So next subject we're going to talk about Google, and we're going to talk about journalism. I'm going to make this a quick segment, but Google and journalism, Google is really going against journalism. So as many of you know, the biggest search engine in the world, Google, is actually, dare I say, having out a war against journalism in California. This was a subject that I think that kind of flew under the radar, and I just want to get to this. As far as Google's concerned, they actually want to push down journalism. Let me get to this really quick. I should have had this ready. My apologies, but I have it coming up.
You know what's so funny about Google? I had Googled that Nazi party joy shit, and the first thing that popped up was Kamala Harris. And they was like, "Oh, this is false." I'm like, I didn't even type Kamala Harris. I didn't even type Kamala Harris. I swear to God. Type in Nazi Party Joy campaign, and Kamala Harris gonna pop up. I guarantee you.
You want to know what else I found interesting? It's very hard to find like those old school Joe Biden Senate floor speeches.
Yep.
And it's harder to find, like, whenever a Democrat rises, they start scrubbing shit from their history. I remember how easy, and I do this all the time because I always share screenshots about stuff Biden. I remember how easy it used to be to find stuff on the crime bill. But now in the year 2024, you have to search. Like, Google buried all that shit now. Anyway, just an observation. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah, so here it is. This is out of More Perfect Union. They actually put out this thread that I think is important for people to listen to is in regards to journalism. And this is also a great reason to support independent media. But More Perfect Union says California had a bill that would have made real investment in bringing local journalism back. Now that bill is dead, and it's been replaced with a much worse deal for journalists, one that inexplicably includes AI funding. It continues. It says between 2008 and 2018, local journalism ad revenue in the United States plummeted nearly 70%. And the number of newsroom positions in California has dropped 68% over the past 20 years. Meanwhile, Facebook and Google's ad business gets bigger and bigger in the hundreds of billions, partially thanks to clicks on news stories. Now here it says the California Journalism Preservation Act, AB 886, would have forced Google and Facebook to finally pay their fair share through a usage fee negotiated with outlets. The bill would have required publishers to spend at least 70% of the payments on payroll for journalists and support staff. So ultimately, really, it was supposed to be Google and Facebook and other outlets that are basically using having these links on their sites to really pay these news outlets in order to keep the news outlets afloat, because people mostly get their news through social media, but they're getting it through the links on these sites. But apparently that's not the case. They're not getting paid for it, or at least adequately. It says AB 886 was one of two bills that would have forced big tech companies to help rebuild the local news landscape they helped ruin. But Google lobbied hard against attempts to rein them in, even testing removal of links to California news websites. It says Google's strategies appear to have worked. Instead of passing a bill with strong protections for journalists, legislators reached a public-private partnership with Google, asking them to pay just a fraction of what they might have owed with actual regulation. It also includes tens of millions for AI accelerator, which media unions say could very well destroy journalism jobs. So what this means basically is that whenever I see public-private partnership, to me, that's just another phrase for, corporate owned, and the government just really just gives the reins to corporations ultimately. And, corporations, they always have to make as much money as they possibly can. It's all about the bottom line. It's never about, for instance, this part, comes to journalism, about the truth and about, the public needing to know. It's always about the bottom line first. And so it says they include tens of millions for an AI accelerator. Basically, you're going to be having AI give you the news instead. How many people have typed something in on Google and then the AI generates an answer for you at the top instead of you actually going to news articles and finding out what the actual truth is, right? So AI is basically populating from different news articles the news so that you won't even have to click on their site. You won't ever have to get any news from them, from the actual journalists. You're getting your news curated through Google. And this is a dangerous precedent, because the problem is that we need actual independent journalism to be done in this country. And the fact is, we're having corporate journalism take over. And this corporate journalism is actually going to really just feed us whatever they want to, instead of the actual accurate information that we need in order to know how our government is operating, know what corporations are doing.
So basically the bullshit that they say that the DPRK does.
Basically, yes. Basically. It says for journalism, there will be more than $170 million in funding for over 5 years, but the majority of new funding will come from taxpayers. And much of what Google would spend, $100 million over 5 years, would be tax deductible. So next one, it says, and to put that number in context, researchers have estimated that Google owes between 10 and $12 billion to US publishers annually. So ultimately, the money that these publishers would get from Google is massive if Google actually paid them for the usage of their links and websites in order to disseminate the news. But because Google is really cheating them out of that, then it makes it so that you don't make any money as a journalist, or you make very little money as a journalist. And so you're kind of stifled out of being a journalist. This is why independent media is doing better, right? Because people are looking for real journalism, not this corporate journalism. Look at, it's just those of us here at RBN. You have Danny Haifong, you have The Gray Zone, right? You have many different outlets that are now independent journalists, where people are paying their money through their Patreon or through their ad revenue, and just to be able to get the news in a more accurate way, which is outside of the realm of corporate news. And so, of course, you know, these sites are also going to be suppressed as well. And then it says, Anna Brugman, the director of policy at Rebuild News, a group that's called to step forward, but that more effective support is needed, told More Perfect Union that the transformative amount that would recapture some of the jobs lost will be $125 million per year. Says while California publishers have praised the deal, which is backed by Governor Newsom, media workers, some of whom the bill's biggest champions, have panned it. The future of journalism should not be decided in backroom deals, a group of California labor leaders said in the statement. Now we question whether the state has done more harm than good. And the fact that they let this go, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is going to backfire. Yeah, people don't want to listen to the corporations anymore. This will backfire, and it will do nothing but create another black market for journalism. And people are going to search and be searching, and they might, and this is going to end up making people create groups on the ground type shit to get the information out. People are going to start renting billboards to start getting, like, this is going to blow back. But it doesn't surprise me that they are doing this, because they need us to shut the fuck up. Like, it's about to be some real heavy shit going on in the next couple of months and in the next couple of years, especially with the genocide, the land grab of the West Bank and shit like that. They don't need eyes on these things. So they're going to try to do their best to try to shut up people and, you know, saying, throw fog in a room so we can't see the walls from the windows. But yeah, this is definitely going to blow back in their faces, and it's a great thing. You know, I like to see them try this shit, because all it's going to do is push the people together. You know, people going to start creating collisions because of shit like this. So I would love to see them try something like this and watch it blow up in their fucking faces, just like this shit is blowing up in their faces with the YouTube taking away high in likes, and, you know what I'm saying, Elon Musk high in likes and shit like that. Oh yeah, that's all gonna blow up in their face.
Yeah, this reminds me of what's going on with Telegram. I know, Sabby, you discussed this you know, a couple nights ago, with the Telegram CEO and founder being arrested by the French government. And so people are desperately looking for, you know, because all news is going to be biased in some way, but they're looking for more objective news from the ground on the ground. And so with this being said, like a lot of, these news outlets are being suppressed and, financially being squeezed out. And so what can they do in order to be able to make enough money to sustain themselves while they actually tell the truth? And the thing is, like, if you cut them off financially, then they can't actually do the journalism that helps, keep them afloat.
I was just going to say, even local news is taking a hit, because I saw an article, I want to say maybe like 2 months ago, where local news stations here were laying people off. They were laying off reporters, in the field reporters and anchor reporters. They were laying them off because the news ratings are so low, because not a lot of people just aren't watching local news anymore. We saw Vice was laying people off. Washington Post had a big layoff. I think New York Times as well. There's another one I forget, but they were all just one after another. Oh, BuzzFeed, like, because they can't, they're like, we can't afford to pay these people, because people just are going to other play. I mean, anytime you can see what's his face, Danny Haifong, you mentioned him. Anytime I can see that Danny Haifong will have like 4,000 people watching him live. Like, CNN don't get those numbers unless they probably will tonight with the Kamala interview, right? Unless they have like a big interview, they're not getting those numbers. There's a number of times where I'll see, if you look, TYT's not getting those numbers unless it's a big event or a big name guest or something like that. But people are turning to other sources for their news because they're tired of the narrative and the lies from corporate media. Not to mention, a lot of times corporate media doesn't even issue a rebuttal, or they don't retract a story when they're wrong, especially like when it comes to foreign policy.
Yeah, and like Rome said earlier, Rome said he never wants to see people homeless, something that one situation. But it's same with media for me. As a socialist, I usually don't like seeing people being laid off, except in this scenario.
Yeah.
This is great. And I said before, I think we live into a golden age of journalism, and corporate journalism dying is a part of that. Even the local media, local journalism is trash too. There's a scourge going on, because what do you guys think the long-term effects of propaganda is? What do you see on your local news station? I don't know if things different. I can tell you what I see in the Midwest. Shooting over here, murder over there, death over there, destruction over there. This store was robbed. This store was robbed. Be afraid. Be afraid. Be afraid of your neighbor. We want clicks. We want people to watch, so we're going to report nothing but death and destruction. That's all they do in the local media. They talk about who got stabbed here, who got shot there. And they do that in a very particular reason. They do it because they get ratings. So you have people, Americans, we live in a completely different culture. Like, people are afraid of each other. Like, Rome, me and Rome, we talk to people, we don't care. I talk to people all the time. But you ever see people, they see you, people, kids don't play outside no more. We used to play football, basketball every day.
Flipping on the mattress.
We used to be outside every day. Meanwhile, my niece, my cousins, they're not allowed to go 5 feet away from the house. It's completely. Why? Because the local media has scared the American populace and turned them into cowards. There are studies that show that Americans are more lonely than ever. They're more distrustful of their neighbors. Why do you guys think that is? That's because of local news, which is trash. Do local news cover the local corruption of the mayor's office? Do the local news inform the populace on how the police and mishandling funds? They never do stuff like that. They never actually do journalism that benefits the public, which is why they're dying, and they deserve to die. Let the people take journalism back if there's a demand for it. So that's why I think it's a good thing. Corporate media, but I think it's local media too, because they get a pass for some reason. But local media is just as trash as corporate media.
Yeah,
so
they do.
I want to finish this up. It says the DOJ is currently seeking to break up Google. As long as Google can monopolize information and bend states or even entire countries to its will, local journalism will continue to decline. So this is actually talking about what's happening, antitrust laws being applied to Google. Just as really quick before we end the segment, what are the odds of the Department of Justice, whether under a Democrat or Republican administration, do you guys think
I'll be right back.
it ever happened?
I mean, we've been saying that Google should have been broken up for a long time.
Yeah.
My bonnet?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the largest, the number one largest search engine in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to the point now, it's like you can't search something unless it's through Google. Like it just, and there are other search engines, but they're not the default. Like if you have an Android, I have an Android, you have an Android, Google is the default. If you buy Windows, Google is going to be that's the default.
Yep. I'm using it right now. Ron, what is your thoughts about what is the likelihood of a Republican or a Democrat administration breaking up Google in your view?
Yeah, fucking right. Just like they broke up Disney. Like these corporations run America. This ain't nothing but some fucking chitter chat for the voters to be like, oh well, they're trying. Nigga, they ain't about to do shit. If they wanted Google broken up, they would have did that shit 10 years ago before they gained all that power. Google can rewrite laws here in America. They can bend laws. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't believe it. I don't believe it until I see it. Because look at all these corporations that monopolize under these administrations. I mean, even the film studios buying up all the fucking all the competition. I don't believe it. I don't believe it not once.
Yep. With that being said, Sabby, you're going to be heading out in a second, but one of the things I wanted to ask you about is what do you have going on for your show this evening at 8 p.m.?
So I'm interviewing a independent candidate that's running against Richard Neal, who is a very nasty politician here in Massachusetts against Medicare. Like he's just terrible. He takes the most PAC money in the House representatives. So that and 3 news stories.
All right, cool. I cannot wait to hear that. Thank you very much, Sabs. And just to make sure, if you guys have not, Sabby Sabs will be on her channel at 8 p.m. So in an hour and a half from now. So in 90 minutes, make sure to be on her channel to watch her show.
See ya.
All right, take care, Sabs. So with that being said, I'm going to do some of these super chats and then we'll go on to your segment room. All right. So we have John Priest saying Fox and CNN are adult daycare. Oh,
they just play it in the background. Like it just plays in the background. It's like
basically. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything different between, it's like Yo Gabba Gabba for Gen X and boomers.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what it is. So yeah. So let's get to the final segment. And then we will shout out patrons towards the end. But you're going to be talking about Black Lives Matter rejects Kamala Harris. I really want to get into this because I'm like, it is about damn time.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong.
Man, like I'm gonna share my screen with you guys real quick.
Sure.
They say Black Lives Matter declines to endorse Kamala Harris, labels her an authoritarian. Another screenshot from their Twitter said,
but Joe Biden wasn't.
I swear.
I'm trying to be nice. I want to give them credit for this, but I hope they know they're not off the hook though, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
I know you're not doing that, bro. I'm just saying in general. I know you're not saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in general. I'm not accusing you of doing it. I'm saying I hope Black Lives Matter know that they're not off the hook for doing this, right? But go ahead, Rome.
The night of the victory, we sent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris a letter requesting a meeting. It has been 32 days, and we have yet to receive a response. To set up a meeting with civil rights leader without Black Lives Matter, it's unacceptable. And I want to say, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, y'all don't have y'all endorse Joe fucking Biden. You know what I'm saying? You rejected the history of this man. You rejected his political report card and said, fuck all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And y'all raised millions of fucking dollars that you did not give back to the poor black and brown communities. Like, you guys, all right, she is an authoritarian. She was put in power. She was put in this position. Yes, I can agree with that. But the only reason why you're saying this shit is because you don't have a seat at the fucking table. If they would have gave you a seat at the table, would Black Lives Matter still have the same, you know what I'm saying? Would they be pumping their chests out like the hell? No, they'd be like, everybody vote for Kamala Harris because of harm reduction or some fucking bullshit liberal talking point. Like, come on now.
Yeah, it's just like, go ahead, James. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just like DSA, who's now saying they no longer support the Democratic Party. Oh, how very convenient you say this now that your ass is broke. So Black Lives Matter was caught grifting millions of dollars, got a mansion out of it. So now no one's donating to their ass, especially after they celebrate Democrats. So just like DSA, they now want to go through some sort of epiphany or whatever. Yeah, DSA that was like, oh, we now reject AOC. Bro, you said that in 2024, now that your ass is broken. You want a cookie? You guys want to see what Black Lives Matter posted after? I will never forget this. I was looking for this as you were speaking.
Oh, yeah, I was about to bring that up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to read it.
Yeah.
I was just going to read it, but if you
I didn't want to get ahead of your segment. What you had to share.
No, it's all right.
Go ahead, Jay. I'll pass it to you since you wanted to share. I don't want to take it from you. Go ahead, JB.
No. I love that you and I have thought of the same thing. This is beautiful. So this is Black Lives Matter statement on Kamala Harris securing enough delegates to become Democratic nominee. She didn't secure shit, first of all. Let's get that out of the way, because the thing is, like, what delegates, right? It says Black Lives Matter calls on the DNC to host a virtual snap primary. So they say the Black Lives Matter demands that the Democratic National Committee immediately host an informal virtual snap primary process to the country prior to the DNC convention in August, which is just passed. We call for the Rules Committee to create a process that allows for public participation in the nomination process, not just a nomination by party delegates. The current political landscape is unprecedented, with President Biden stepping aside in a manner never seen before. This moment calls for decisive action to protect the integrity of our democracy and the voices of Black voters. While Joe Biden wasn't our preferred candidate, we cannot ignore the troubling actions of the Democratic Party. Now, this is true. The DNC refused to host debates during the primary, even though a vast majority of Democratic voters wanted them. This would have likely allowed America to see a decline of Joe Biden in 2023. The DNC changed the primary schedule and created rules that made it almost impossible for non-Biden candidates to appear on the ballot, people like Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson, effectively clearing the field of any challengers to the incumbent president. Following the primary, where millions of Black voters weighed in, after one poor debate performance, the DNC party elites and billionaire donors put Joe Biden out of the race. Go ahead, Nick.
Now, James, I talk about this before on one of my shows. I have a different take than a lot of people have on this. And it's very simple why I do. You know how people keep saying that there was no Democratic Party primary? And that's kind of what they're insinuating here. I don't know what y'all talking about. And bro, I think we talked about this before. They keep saying that, oh my God, you guys skipped the primary. No, they didn't. Marianne was the primary challenger. There are people, the Democratic Party voters voted against them. The primary system enabled in the Democratic Party is inherently rigged. That's why you support a third party, because the Democratic Party primary system is rigged. And you guys see why I frame it this way? Because it doesn't do us any favors as a third party movement to pretend there wasn't a primary. There was a primary. This is what happens when you try to challenge the Democratic Party favorite. They will rig it against you. And there's a reason why I say this, because you have a lot of these progressive types, the progressive motherfuckers that they used to scoff at third-party voters. The Crystal Ball, remember? Crystal Ball said if we didn't support Marianne Williamson, we need to grow up because a third-party challenge is not possible. As she pledged her support and want people to donate to a campaign that is dead on arrival. So we have to drive the point that if you run as a third party, at least you're running to the end, and you're not running in a rigged process. So, from my estimation, they had a primary. And another reason I say this is because people drastically overestimate Democratic Party voters. It's a mistake I made when I was part of the Bernie campaign, and it's the gambit that we all had when we supported Bernie. My gambit was, if presented to them, the Democratic Party will reject corruption. This is the sweet summer child I used to be. I was like, man, if only the liberal voters had an option. They've shown time and time again that they want to beat the populist, that they want to vote for a Hillary Clinton, they want to vote for Joe Biden. And I think the progressive movement is in denial over this, trying to shift the Democratic Party to the left and shift their voter base to the left is as a fool's errand as trying to do the same thing to the Republican Party. Now, one more thing I want to show, and because I actually do want to share this, because you didn't have the exact same screenshot I had, but I'm glad that you shared your first, James, because the one I have show you guys the flip-flop from Black Lives Matter, because look at the date of the headline I have. November 2020. This is when Biden won and Kamala won. And how much they flipped then? They now call Kamala Harris authoritarian, but when she won, this is what they said: we congratulate Joe Biden on becoming president, and particularly Kamala Harris, the top, on becoming the country's first woman, a Black woman, to serve as vice president. This historic win is testament to the work Black women have been doing in the streets, in this campaign, and at every level of politics. So my question to Black Lives Matter is, what changed other than your ass got broke?
Okay, Nick, can I show this headline really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
This adds to your statement. This is from The Atlantic. Look, boom. Identity politics loses its power. This just came out a few days ago. Identity politics loses its power. This came out on August 1st. It says Black Lives Matter statement on Kamala Harris seems to signal a shift. So that's to add to your point that the honeymoon is over. It's over. Yep. And now people can't grift off of it.
Yep. Yeah, well said. But I gotta get headed out soon. I had a long day. Yeah. But we're gonna have another banger show. Remember, Dr. Joe Stein, Dr. Bush Ware will be joining us tomorrow. Me and James will be doing that conversation. I'm looking forward to it. I think this is a very unique moment in third-party campaigns. We're not doing any endorsement because I don't believe in endorsements, guys. I will be honest with you guys. I don't want to mislead you guys. If I'm going to be honest, if you ask me who I'm supporting, I'm going to say Joe Stein. But I don't support endorsements because things can always change. You know what I mean? What if Dr. Joe Stein tomorrow was like, you know what? I actually do support the Ukraine proxy war. Then I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm not endorsing. You guys see, even though I support Joe Stein, I still believe in holding on pressure to the very end. I don't like endorsements in general, which is why we still haven't formally endorsed her. I still have a few questions I want to ask her. One question I have, and one thing I want to see them change in their direction is their pitch towards the working class, the pitch towards the people who are dissidents, right? So when they are asked about being a spoiler candidate, Joe Stein will often say, oh man, we're not a spoiler because if you look at the polls, most people who vote third party won't vote Democrat anyway. I don't like that answer, Joe, to be honest. You should be saying, oh, hey, Dr. Stein, aren't you worried that you're a spoiler to Kamala Harris? You goddamn right. If you should not be voting for Democrats, we need people who actually care about human rights to vote for my campaign. I want to take votes for Kamala Harris because she's corrupt. The same way I want to take voters from Trump because he's corrupt. And that's something I see missing. They're not appeal to Trump supporters either. You know what I mean? So I think those are things that third parties need to learn. We need to be offensive. We can't just be, oh, we're not spoilers. We're not spoilers. No, we need to make the argument on why we're spoiling this shit. And that's one thing I want to see Dr. Stein improve on. You know what I mean? Because that answer, we need to be aggressive. No more apologizing for being a third party. You got them right, we're a spoiler. We need more people to support this spoiler campaign because both parties are corrupt. That's how I would like to reward it. But anyway, I think it should be a good conversation. JB, Rome, I'll pass to you guys. I'll get out of here. I had a long day. JB, if you don't mind, I'll pass to you guys to wrap this up.
I can finish things up.
Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, guys.
All right, Nick.
All right. Have a good one.
Somebody, I want to. Somebody asked about my mama. A couple of people was asking about my mama earlier. I couldn't get to them because it wasn't my show. Let me see. Is Rome mom okay? Hope she did not get evicted. Thankfully, no, she did not get evicted. We raised about $1,800. I still need to raise about 1,000 more, man. Because I looked at I got the paperwork somewhere in my phone. I looked at the paperwork. She owed $2,400, and then we got to pay the first month after that's paid. So I just didn't want to keep badgering you guys for money and whatnot, trying to find other ways of getting it, even if I have to take out some loans and stuff like that. But other than that, my mama is fine. But if you would like to donate to my Cash App Tour for the Poor, Venmo Tour for the Poor, and PayPal Unholy Rome 6. If you don't, if you want links to them, I'm pretty sure you can go on my Twitter page, Run from 6 Mile. You can donate there. But I just didn't want to keep badgering you guys for money. You know, I had to, call a couple of friends and shit like that. Of course, I didn't get any money yet because life don't work like that. But it is what it is. We're just gonna go at it little by little. But she have been paying on the bill. We paid $1,700 so far, and I have the receipts for those. I'm gonna put those up a little bit later on. I have the receipts for what she had paid so far. So they basically took the eviction off, but she still have to have a meeting with the people, and they want to know where all this money coming from out of nowhere. So it's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. But hey, we getting there. I'm sick, y'all. I'm sick. I'm sick. When I left earlier, I just had a withdrawal. I was just going through a withdrawal. I didn't even know I was going to be able to stay this long, but I tried, for you guys. But I'm about to go lay down, man. I'm sick and trying to get better. But thank you for everybody who helped so far. I probably would throw up another fundraiser pretty soon for her because we got a couple more days to get that over with. But other than that, life is just life, man.
All right, cool. Look, Rome, if you have to get going, I can finish things up here because I got to make sure we get to the business here. But look, if you guys have not already, I already put Rome's Twitter in the chat so you guys can go there. And if you guys can also donate, so that Rome's mom can actually still have a place to live, because one thing is that we not only try to help people who are out in the streets, but we're also trying to prevent people from getting into the streets. So if you guys can do that, that'd be great.
Thank you for the $50 camera. I'll see y'all later. I will feel better. I'm about to take a nap, man. I am fucking sick. I love you guys. Take care. RGB. I'll see you soon. I'll see you tomorrow, man.
All right. See you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. So we're going to get to some of the chats and super chats, and then we'll be heading on out because our brother is tired. I went to the gym today, and I didn't get the rest since going to the gym. Yeah. So let's get to this. Let me go into the Rockfin really quick, cover a couple of those chats, and then we will move on. I got to check to see if we have any Rumble rants. I'm going to check one there too as well. But yes, we're going to go into the Rock really quick. See, I knew he'd be in the chat posting some more information. I'm gonna start calling him the information station. Between him and Roger Meadows, man, I can tell you. All right, so Anna Mayer says mainstream media doesn't investigate ish or name names, national or local. It's AP copy and paste. I don't even trust their weather reports anymore. No corruption pieces on the ruling class. Hemcar says Bill Gates sculpts MSM. Interesting. Wait, is this That's a is that a I don't know what that was. That was something from somebody doing something about Etch-a-Sketch hemp card. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the rest of the chats. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to have to look into that again. So let's get into this. We got CBC Border in the house saying happy Thursday at Savvy Savs, JB, Nick, and Rome. We have Nico House that was in here. I'm not sure if he's still in, but good to see you, Nico. He said, we in this bitch. Sakudo says, you're sup FHL RBN fam. Good to see you. Roddy says, good evening, comrades from the UK police. Y'all going through some things over there. I'm telling you. And yeah, please make sure to look out for your black and brown neighbors out there because it's kind of hairy out there. Janice says, hi, all. Good to see you. Leroy comes in banger after banger. Yes. In the words of John Witherspoon, bang, bang, bang. Hillier Grigor says, RBN all day, day, right? Arif says, Reagan's 12th term. Yes, that is true about Kamala Harris if she were to come in again. Terry Connolly says, greetings, comrades. Good to see you. Paul coming in saying, the gang all here. Yep. All right. We have Wadi coming in saying, hey, everybody. Crom says, Sabi, Rome, Nick, JB, good to see you. Notori says, hey, y'all, good to see you. We have Shale coming in saying, hey, Sabi. Oh, yeah. We have Al Khalifa says, peace, peace. Good to see you. DC says, assalamu alaikum. All right, good to see you too. Shan Susi says, we alaikum salam. Good to see you. Casey is giving solidarity and fire. We have AB says, good afternoon. We have Tazkia Jewelry says, hey, assalamu alaikum, y'all. Ooh, everybody's giving the Muslim hello. Good to see you. We have Full Fun says, self-selecting for PMC myopia. All right. Roger Meadows says, not that it make a difference, but Obama has Citigroup in his White House, not Goldman Sachs. Pentagon and MIC spending up, but recruitment continues to plummet. Yeah. Either way, he still had Wall Street in his White House. But yeah, I'll stand corrected on that, Roger. Thank you very much. Breakup Google says, every Jew I know is anti-Zionist. Don't mind telling people the difference. Yeah, the thing is, Zionism and Judaism are two completely different things. Zionism is a political ideology, whereas Judaism is a religion, kind of ethnic and religion. But the thing is like Zionism really is the antithesis of Judaism. And when we talk about Zionism, you know, not all Jewish people are Zionists and not all Zionists are Jewish. For instance, people like Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, they're all Zionists, but they are not Jewish at all. And so when we condemn Zionists, we're condemning people like them. So that's who we're condemning. So absolutely. Thank you so very much. Roger Meadows says, parents encourage your children to study abroad for free, allowing them to not get cultured, but also experience free healthcare, better internet speeds and quality, worker ownership in the workplace. Absolutely. Thank you so very much for that. A Hill says, do you think Obama would get those votes if he ran again? I think if Obama ran again, he definitely wouldn't get the numbers that he got. So I think he got like 98% in 2008, and he got 93, 94% in 2012. I honestly think that Obama would have dropped to maybe the high 70s, low 80s if among the black population, if he were to run again. I mean, if he had the opportunity to run again, he would probably get, I think at best, high 70s, because the thing is that we know who he is now. A lot of black people don't trust him anymore. He's not as popular as he thinks he is. ZG says, true. People forget that Social Security, Medicare, civil rights, women's suffrage all came from mass protests, not from voting from some cheap politician. Yep. We have Jill says, Jane Elliott wants Indians and Black to get reparations, not just African Americans. She's for economic justice for all oppressed peoples in America, which is true. We can talk about that. Like, we can have that conversation. But the thing is, it's like when you're talking about Black people, particularly American descendants of slaves, when we talk about reparations, we talk about reparations for us. And the thing is, like, people want to say whenever we try to make demands of something, everybody tries to group everybody else in. But whenever all other people make demands, then they're allowed to keep their demands separate from everybody else's. And so that's the issue, is that, you know, it's like well, we're walking for breast cancer. Well, everybody's cancer matters. It's like, yeah, everybody else's cancer matters, but we're walking for this particular cancer because how it's affected us. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's like, that's the whole reparations argument is, you know, and of course, people who are indigenous, you know, Americans, of course, they didn't get a fair deal. And, you know, that's why we stand with them, you know, whenever they make their demands as well. But the thing is like, when we talk about our own, you know, what we're owed as American descendants of slaves, that also, you know, when we talk about that, that's in its particular circle. We have to, you know, stop saying, well, what about these people? And what about that people? It's like, yes, we stand with them, but at the same time, we're not talking about them right now. We're talking about us. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, Jane Elliott kind of just like muddies the waters when it comes to our liberation and particularly what we need. So that's the issue with Jane Elliott. And so that's the problem with some Black people have with her. Meatwad, that's a name, says, I'm a white guy who is accused of being racist by a radical white lesbian merely for criticizing Obama's neoliberal policies. This was someone knew me for 17 years. She's a D'Angelo acolyte. The thing is, it's like the criticism of Obama, we also have to be careful. Unfortunately, this has to be done for white people. Sometimes it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. So, unfortunately, you can criticize Obama, you can criticize Harris, you can criticize anybody who is Black or brown in office, especially the neoliberals. The thing is, sometimes it's how you say it. But then, even then, no matter how you say it, no matter how you slice it, some other white liberal will go, well, you're being racist. And it's like, nah, you know, it depends on how they're saying it. But for the most part, if they're critiquing them, especially for the lack of what they do for people of color or Black and brown people, then, I mean, that's a legitimate argument. The thing is like, you know, but at the same time, it's tough, you know, because the thing is like, you don't want to be accused of being racist. It's just like, if I accuse Kamala Harris, you know, somebody can go, well, you're being sexist. But the thing is, it's like, it depends on also how I do it. Like, for instance, I will argue against Kamala Harris, you know, from a Black feminist perspective. Like, I will listen to what Black feminists have to say, and then I will argue against Kamala Harris from their perspective. So then a white feminist can't come up to me and go, well, you're misogynistic. And it's like, no, I'm not. The thing is, it's like, she's not doing enough for women. You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, I want more for women. So therefore, Kamala Harris is not the person right for you. It's the same thing with, you know, I try to advocate for, you know, trans siblings and non-binary siblings, and the same thing. I always talk about how Donald Trump, we all know Donald Trump is crap, but Kamala Harris is also crap, you know, for people who are LGBTQ. And the thing is, I try to tell that to people as well. But, you know, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. That's the only thing. So, yeah. Full Fun says, Scott Ritter, Matt Harrison, Click Clarenberg, all those journalists in Gaza and Mexico. Yeah, journalism's really taking a beating, especially in the West right now. So, yeah. So let me just check to see if we have any super chats. Yep. And oh, I didn't know that. And then we'll get into just closing everything out because JB got to go. JB is exhausted. You see. All right. Just making sure I catch these because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss a thing. Oh, yeah. I see that. Okay. And I love these roundtables, man. Getting together with my people is just chef's kiss. It's great. All right. So Janice says, please ask Stein about if the census will update the poverty line. It's based on 1963 food prices and doesn't include housing, transport, healthcare, etc. You know what? Let me write that down because that's a really good question. Shoot. Actually, I'll screenshot it just so that I can share that tomorrow because I appreciate that question, Janice. Thank you very much for that. That's a good question. All right, and then boop. All right, perfect. Thank you so very much for that. We have Roger Meadows says, happy birthday to my sister, Sherry. Happy birthday, Sherry. And then to the late Michael Jackson. Oh, today is Michael Jackson's birthday? I did not know that. Ooh, he was born on the 29th, just like me. Interesting. That's cool. All right, Janice says, local news is also corporate news. BlackRock, Vanguard, and the third one, State Street. I can't recall the name at the moment. Owns thousands of U.S. local news channels too. Yeah. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And then this is from Eric T. Red, says we're going to cover the Harris Waltz interview live. This is on Savvy Sabs. So if you guys have not, please make sure to watch Savvy Sabs at 8 p.m. That's an hour from now. She'll be covering the Harris Waltz interview live. I'll be in the chat. Go ahead and come around and say hi. And with that being said, just checking to make sure I didn't miss any super chats because JB be missing stuff sometimes. I don't want to miss. All right. I think we're good on that. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. All right. So with that being said, Paul, I see it. I love you too. All right. All right. Let's get going. Thank you so very much to everybody for tuning in and take care of yourselves. Please make sure to go and donate to Rome's mom so she can stay housed. Go to Tour for the Poor on Cash App if you guys can just send a lifeline that way. If you're a millionaire, send $1,000. So, and and give them a blow kiss, whatever. But yes, please make sure to do that. And also, if you guys would like to, please make sure to like the video. This helps us out. Appreciate it very much. If you guys have not already, you guys can go to our Substack at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. This gives you email notifications whenever we go live or upload clips. So you have that there. Any type of inquiries, or if you guys like to talk, give us news stories, or just give us some encouraging words, all that is loved and appreciated. You guys can email us at revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com. That is our email address. So thank you so very much. Just to let you guys know, this Tuesday on my channel, I will be live in Tampa, Florida. I'll be covering the trial of the Uhuru Three. That's Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Neville. They are actually being indicted by the Department of Justice. So I will be there to offer my solidarity as well as cover on the ground the trial from my channel. So if you guys would like to, you guys can go to my channel and you guys can actually see that coverage this Tuesday. I will be there in Tampa. And thank you very much to everybody that donated to help me get that ticket. That bus ticket to Tampa is very much appreciated. So thank you very much for that. with that being said, be sure to tune in to me on Sunday when I talk on the JB show here on RBN. And then also tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for the interview with Dr. Joe Stein and Dr. Butch War. We're going to be talking to them about the candidacy. And it'll be Dr. Butch Ware's his first time on the channel. So that'll be great. That'll be a fun conversation. So with that being said, I just want to thank everybody. Shout out to all the patrons on Patreon. We will be updating our patron list. It's just taking some time, but we will be getting an update. So it'll be a whole lot more new names as well. So thank you so very much to all the new patrons as well. Even though you may not see your name, we're working on it. So it'll be updated soon. So thank you very much. Everybody, take care. Have a good one. Water your plants. Water yourselves. Leave the world better than you found it. And do all the things that you got them. Love you for watching. You want, go ahead, kiss me. Bye-bye.